it's been a thing all around the board where he was like, because you know that an initial wife will feel a particular way, then you should find your own man. Assalamu alaikum, peace. It's Coach Nyla.
And Coach Fatimah.
And we are co-authors and co-founders of
Outstanding Personal Relationships.
And of course, I said co-authors. We're co-authors of the book,
Let's Talk Polygamy, Uncensored.
So yes.
This is a little bit of a different type of video than you guys are used to. We really want to get into this awesome book that us three coaches, Coach Nazir, Coach Nyla, and myself, Coach Fatimah, wrote. And one of the most powerful chapters it's so interesting because we never know when things are going to become a thing. Yeah. So this chapter that Coach Nyla wrote in Minding Your Marriage, and she's trained and coached and counseled many women from all walks of life on this very, very subject. And I've learned some things too. So I wouldn't be so arrogant as to think I didn't have a discovery within this specific content in the book. And I wanted to really talk to Coach Nyla. We're having a discussion about minding your marriage and what that looks like. Since so many women ask us, how do you do this? How do you come together, and how do you make polygyny work? And what does it mean to mind your marriage?
Yeah, it's funny too, because when you said when a thing becomes a thing, or you don't even know that it'll become a thing, yeah, we're starting to realize that phrase is starting to spread a lot.
Absolutely.
Which I think that was a big deal for me, because as an additional wife, if you will, a lot of people thought that I should be the one to make sure everything is okay in the marriage. Like, not in my marriage, but in my co-wife and our husband's marriage. Like, I'm the one that's supposed to have made sure that she was fine. I was the one that was supposed to make sure that she was accepting of me. I was the one that that was a thing. And it's been a thing all around the board where he was like, because you know that an initial wife will feel a particular way, then you should find your own man, or you should make sure she's okay. And until she's okay with you, then you hold off until what you want to, do or think about, or just don't deal with it anyway, because it's going to be so much drama. Yeah. Like, it doesn't change. Like, people don't grow.
Or put your life on pause
type of thing
for somebody else.
So my thing was like, the thing is mind your marriage. Rule number 1, rule number 0, the top rule, the main rule you should understand when it comes to polygyny, any marriage for that matter, is to mind your marriage. When you focus on that, when you focus on your marriage, you don't have time to think about the other stuff.
Yeah.
So whether we're initial wives or additional wives, if we're focusing on having our marriage the most desirable marriage for us, it may not look the same. My marriage to Coach Nyla, they don't look the same as Coach Fatimah's marriage to Coach Nazir. I know the insecurities and jealousies that I had coming in, because I'm like, they known each other since they were in high school and young, and they grew up together and all these different things. They have these children together. It's so many things that you can put in your head that can make your marriage, like, you can destroy your own marriage.
That's facts.
By the thoughts that you create in your head, and that doesn't matter what timeline you came into the marriage at. It doesn't matter. You can totally destroy that by not focusing on what makes your marriage unique.
Yeah.
What makes you unique to the family dynamic? Because Coach Nazir didn't marry me to marry another Coach Fatimah, and nor did he go back to Coach Fatimah, like, well, you got to be more like this. They have their own, we all have our own individual,
like, what?
you know? It's like, you have to understand that, or we have to understand that as wives.
Yeah, totally,
you know,
100%.
and as women, period, you know, being our own individual and embracing that uniqueness that we have and that we can bring to our marriages.
Yeah, so many people put that, it's that weight, it's that pressure that you put on yourself to perform in a certain way so that it looks a certain way to other people. And it's so appropriate to mind your business.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what that means. Mind your marriage, mind your business. Because when you start making things your business that aren't, you will drive yourself crazy with it. And we're responsible for doing that. And it's honor in minding your business.
Exactly.
Because it's so many women that will look in the devices and look in the computer and look at Google their wife, Google the co-wife, and try to poke holes and find things to hurt people with.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So there's difference between going, okay, what's the schedule going to look like? Because that could be some accountability in there, gentle accountability, versus trying to hold somebody accountable to hurt them.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's malice behind it, keeping score and scoreboard checking and all this stuff.
I am Coach Nazir.
And I'm Coach Fatimah, his wife.
And I am Coach Nyla. I am also his wife.
We are the founders of Outstanding Personal Relationships, as well as the authors of the book, Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored. And I'm sure you're asking yourself, how can you get your hands on a copy of it right now? The great part is, we're about to share that with you, but first, let me tell you about why you need to at least get your hands on one or maybe more copies, depending on where you are in your polygynous journey.
Some of the things that we discuss in our book are issues about trust, insecurities, jealousy among wives, and maybe possibly even creating lasting friendships.
Especially friendships amongst co-wives. And we share in this book how you can understand that it takes a village, that polygyny is not some taboo topic or something that's going to leave women stranded alone and kids not loving each other or feel like they're left alone by their fathers or from their fathers or whatever the case may be. You will learn so much in this book. Let's Talk Polygamy Uncensored.
Indeed, we lay down the practical steps that we wish we would have had when we started our polygynous journey over 13 years ago. Well, the time is here, and all you have to do, go to letstalkpolygamy.com. Order a copy, order the bundle, do whatever it is you need to do so there's no more excuses, and we make it marriage great again by reminding people of polygamy, which is an ancient solution to a modern day problem. Letstalkpolygamy.com. Get your pre-sale order on. With that being said,
make sure you are growing intentionally,
loving fearlessly,
and connecting on a higher level
every single day.
Visit the link. Assalamu alaikum. Peace.
Peace.
And it's so true what Coach Nyla was saying. When you've known somebody since they were 14, and then you've seen these multitude of versions of them, right? Don't think you don't know them because you've seen multiple versions. People are allowed to evolve. So part of minding your marriage is understanding that thing. The evolution of someone else's marriage might look completely different than the one you had.
Yeah, so true.
And that's okay. If that's the part we don't tack on the end, that's okay.
That's okay.
It's not supposed to, and I've had to check some people, check them for real and say, her story is not supposed to look like my story. I would hope it doesn't look like my story because I didn't grow up without my mom, and I wouldn't wish that on somebody, right? Because then you got abandonment and all these other different things. So I'm like, allow somebody else to mind their marriage in peace.
Yeah.
That's part of it. Let them mind it in peace and don't try to create some chaos outside of it. So I really love this chapter because when people want to know what the thing is, that's one of the things. That's major because we can hurt ourselves very quickly when we come up with scenarios and then when we go looking for holes and looking for information and stuff like that. And I'm like, we got to stop hurting ourselves and stop looking at somebody else to just sit there and be paranoid and think they're trying to hurt us.
Right.
So part of minding your marriage is indeed minding your business.
Yeah. And that's where you can start, that's where your growth process happens.
Yes,
because you're
absolutely.
learning more about your spouse, you're learning more about yourself, you're learning about how you can navigate through polygyny, and then knowing how you learning that method of navigating through polygyny. You're like,
Absolutely.
okay, I'm confident enough to connect with my co-wife. I'm confident enough to see what's going on and, you know, extend this family dynamic or expand this family dynamic, because now, you know, I'm more confident in me because I embrace
right.
my uniqueness, you know, because I don't feel like I have to be somebody else or I have to be like somebody else
Absolutely
in
not,
order to
right.
be accepted.
Right.
You know, so it's a lot of that going on because the lack of clarity, and a lot of the lack of clarity comes from not minding your marriage. And we discuss it so much more in different chapters throughout the book, but this chapter was specifically on that topic of minding your marriage and what can you do in order to improve your marriage, improve your not just your marriage, but your experience in polygyny, because now you are embracing yourself. You're embracing the family dynamic. You're not allowing a lot of the outside negativity or the outside forces or these different types of what is it when the conditioning to get to you. Because things have changed. If you think about stuff 50 years ago and you think of things now, because people will say, oh, you're taking us back to the 50s as far as submission and this, and we get into that in the book too. Those who got the book, they understand it. And if you haven't gotten the book, make sure you get yours at letstalkpolygamy.com. But yes, we get into that because if we can look back and look at how relationships and marriages were back then, it was a whole lot different. And I would argue that the respect and the love and the care and the honor was a lot stronger back then than it is now.
Yeah, totally. And the thing about this book, and specifically this chapter in the book, with this book, there's the opportunity to unlock a lot of potential. You know, these chapters are not always easy, but they're effective, and we're having this conversation so that it's not so hard to talk about marriage and polygyny. Because if it's hard, it's because society has made it hard. We've not had maybe the courage or the confidence enough to talk about it. So let's talk about polygamy.com.
Let's talk about it.
So yes.
So yeah, make sure you grab your copy if you haven't already. And if you have your copy, make sure you grab one for a friend.
Yeah,
so there
and
we
a
go.
highlighter.
And we look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. And make sure you comment below. Comment on what was your favorite chapter, what breakthroughs you got from the book, and what does minding your marriage mean to you, all right? So until next time, make sure you're growing intentionally,
loving fearlessly,
and connecting on a higher level
every single day.
Look forward to seeing you soon. Assalamu alaikum.
Peace.